Tired of endless history lessons for sleep? Welcome to Sleep West. Here, the quiet whisper of the frontier winds and the distant echoes of forgotten towns are your lullaby. Unwind with journeys into the heart of the Old West, crafted to soothe your mind and guide you to a deep, peaceful sleep. Settle in and let the quiet legends carry you away. Deep within a sprawling canyon, where the sun painted fiery streaks across ancient rock faces, lay the town of Echo Creek. Its very existence depended on the winding river that had carved the canyon itself, its waters a steady rhythm to the lives of the homesteaders and ranchers who called this isolated place home. But in recent seasons, a subtle crisis had begun to brew. The river, once a reliable lifeline, was quietly shifting its course, its main channels subtly shrinking, leaving vital irrigation ditches dry and once lush pastures turning brittle. Homes built just yards from the water's edge now stood stranded on dusty banks, their foundations cracking. The cause was unseen, a slow, creeping despair that settled over the community. Whispers turned to worries, worries to fear. The quiet hum of prosperity was being replaced by the dry whisper of dust, threatening to unravel the very fabric of Echo Creek and leave its people stranded in a land that was slowly, mysteriously abandoning them. Into this troubled quietness came Elias Thorne, the town's resident surveyor. Elias was a man of quiet habits, his days spent walking the land with his instruments, mapping the unseen contours of the earth. He wore a practical, worn hat that shadowed a face lined with thoughtful concentration, often framed by a neatly trimmed beard. People respected his precision, but often dismissed him as eccentric or overly cautious, more comfortable with lines on a map than the shifting currents of human worries. Yet, Elias held a profound love for Echo Creek and an intuitive understanding of the land itself. He saw the river's shift not just as a natural event, but as a riddle begging to be solved. He meticulously resurveyed the riverbanks, compared old charts to new measurements, and tried to explain the subtle geological anomalies he observed. His quiet warnings and detailed explanations were often met with polite nods, but little action. The desperate townsfolk, seeking immediate solutions, found his slow, methodical approach too impractical. His efforts, though earnest, seemed to evaporate like the vanishing water, leaving him isolated as the town's despair deepened. As Elias continued his solitary work, tracing the river's dwindling path, he began to notice anomalies that defied natural explanation. The subtle shifts seemed too deliberate, too precise. His suspicions turned towards Sterling Blackwood, a cunning, unscrupulous land baron who had recently acquired vast tracts of land downstream and had expressed keen interest in Echo Creek's vital water rights. Blackwood was not a man of confrontation, but of quiet manipulation, a smooth talker who built his empire on veiled threats and legal ambiguities. He had recently employed teams to do improvements on his land far upriver, whose true purpose was hidden from the public eye. Elias realized that the problem wasn't merely nature, but a calculated, unseen diversion. Blackwood was subtly altering the river's flow, slowly stealing Echo Creek's lifeblood, hoping to drive the homesteaders to ruin so he could acquire their parched lands for a pittance. The challenge was that Blackwood's work was expertly concealed, blending into the natural landscape. Elias knew he couldn't expose this with simple measurements. He needed to uncover the unseen line of Blackwood's deceit, a truth buried beneath rock and subtle manipulation. Elias now understood the true nature of the threat. He began a new kind of survey, one that went beyond lines on a map, delving into the very history of the canyon. He spent days tracing ancient markers, studying forgotten surveyor notes from decades past, and meticulously observing the behavior of the dwindling river with the patience only a man of his craft possessed. He sought to find the unseen line, the original, unalterable boundary of the river's true course, and the subtle, deliberate alterations Blackwood had made. He climbed high points, peering through his surveying transit, cross-referencing sight lines with old charts and even the oral histories of the oldest homesteaders. His work was slow, painstaking, and utterly solitary. The tension built with each passing day as the townsfolk grew weaker, their desperation palpable. Finally, after weeks of relentless, quiet dedication, Elias found it, a series of minute, expertly camouflaged diversions, undetectable to the casual eye, that precisely corresponded to the new, subtle bends in the river. He found the evidence of Blackwood's precise, greedy hand, written not in bold ink, but in the subtle alterations of the very land. Armed with his irrefutable evidence, Elias didn't call for a confrontation. Instead, he quietly presented his findings to the town elders and the circuit judge who occasionally visited Echo Creek. His meticulously drawn maps, his precise measurements, and his detailed photographs of the hidden diversions painted a picture that even Sterling Blackwood, for all his cunning, could not deny. Blackwood's scheme unraveled not with a bang, but with the quiet, methodical turning of official pages, the cold, hard facts of the land laid bare. With Blackwood exposed and his claims rendered void, the townsfolk, guided by Elias's continued calm presence, set about restoring the river's original flow. Day by day, the water slowly returned to its rightful course, filling the irrigation ditches, revitalizing the pastures, and breathing life back into Echo Creek. Elias Thorne, the quiet surveyor, was now seen in a new light. He didn't seek accolades. He simply returned to his solitary work, charting the land he loved, knowing that he had protected its unseen lines and ensured the peaceful flow of life for his community. As the last echoes of this tale fade into the western night, we hope it has guided you to a deep and tranquil sleep. Elias Thorne, the quiet surveyor, continued his work, ensuring the unseen lines of the land brought peace and prosperity to Echo Creek. If you found solace in this journey, please consider subscribing to Sleep West so you never miss another quiet legend. And when you're ready to unwind again tomorrow, we'll be here with a new story, a new ride into the heart of the Old West. Until then, rest easy under the watchful, peaceful stars.